Hey Tubies, Luna here, and it's day 37 of my year in a day training. Today's exercise was continuing on with meeting the Inseminator. Now, before I continue, if you are not sexually active, skip this exercise. Now, the reason I say that is because it is a sexual type of exercise that is more appropriate for either adults or young adults or someone in their very, very late teens. I personally was not sexually active until I was about 16, and even then, I ended up marrying him a few years later. It's a personal choice, obviously, but this will not be a very comfortable exercise to do if you have never been sexually active or are not comfortable being sexually active or have other issues about being sexually active. If you are between the ages of like 10 and 15, 16, I would hope that this exercise is not for you. So, just as a heads up, you can try it with just a fantasy, but just giving you a bit of a warning. So, day 37 is a meditative exercise. And what I had to do was get in a very comfortable position. I usually lay down because it's just more comfortable. And relax and, take a deep breath, relax your entire body. Once I was completely relaxed, the exercise was to envision a sexual act with a partner. And while being intimate, calling upon any of the Inseminator gods. While being in your sexual act, you look into the eyes of your partner, and in the eyes you should see a flame or some kind of energy, and that was supposed to be an energetic expression of the god that you call upon, of the Inseminator deity. You would then continue the fantasy until you heard a word spoken from the Inseminator. Once that word was spoken, you would return to consciousness and open your eyes. So I'm not going to delve into what that fantasy was, as it's not important for this video, and I do have young viewers. But afterwards, you're supposed to remember the word that the Inseminator gave you and work from that through the entire day. Now, the word that I was given was appreciation. And appreciation through showing affection, and not in a physical way. I show appreciation in physical ways all the time, through hugs and kisses and things like that. But I decided it was meant, I understood it as meant by doing little things here and there. That makes my husband happy in more ways than one. So, helping him out with the kids or doing a little chore here and there. That was the word, was appreciation. To show appreciation not only physically, but in mundane things and stuff and things. I lost my train of thought. Just completely derailed. Along with that came a few questions. First question is, was I either unduly drawn toward or repulsed by this visualization? I was neither drawn to, like, oh, this is so awesome, or repulsed. I didn't find it gross in any way, but it wasn't something that turned me on. I was very content. Very content. I'm not a very incredibly sexual being. It's just, I'm not repulsed by it either. I find that sex is very intimate, so it's personal, but I'm not grossed out by it. Now, next question is, what may be contributing factors to my feelings about this exercise? I have, especially in the most recent years, become very comfortable with sexuality. Now, like I said before, I find that being intimate with your partner is something personal. So, like, in cases of porn, I don't mind anybody else watching it, but it's something that's not for me. I don't care what other people do. I don't find it attractive. Um, I'm not repulsed by it. I'm not grossed out, but I think it's unnecessary for me anyway. I find it should be for yourselves. It's something that should be for yourselves. You don't have to share it with the world or anything. But at the same time, I'm completely comfortable with it. Next question is, what are my experiences with sexuality? Now, when I hit puberty when I was 8 years old, I felt a bit differently. I am bisexual. And when I hit puberty, I noticed that while all my female friends were having crushes on boys, I was having crushes on girls as well as boys. And I experimented with that with a few of my friends, both male and female. Nothing like, oh, you're 8 years old, you shouldn't be doing that. Nothing like that. Just kind of touchy-feely, just you're hitting puberty, hormones are raging kind of deal, but keeping within a certain boundary. I came to terms with that when I was about 14 years old. Came to terms with my sexual preferences, what I was most comfortable with. However, between the ages of 9 and 12, I was sexually molested by my stepfather, and that really messed me up. So I had a lot of issues with sexuality, but at the same time, it kind of helped. There's two ways you can go when you've been sexually molested. It's either you're horribly promiscuous because that's all you know, or you are a complete prude and just are completely offended by anything like that. Now, there are places in between, safe places in between, and I found that safe place in between. I was very experimental with sexuality, but I always drew the line. And I didn't actually become sexually active until I was about 16 years old, and it was with my husband. He's my high school sweetheart. And obviously, it was with somebody who I trusted and felt that I would have a long-lasting relationship with. Even if it ended up we would not get married or anything, he was one of my best friends and still is. So it was with somebody I felt most comfortable with and someone who I trusted. A part of that also goes with how open we are in our marriage as well. We do have an open marriage, which means that we can have sexual relations outside of the marriage as long as it fits certain guidelines. We do have children. We are not swingers at all. We always ask permission as long as everybody is okay and in accordance with one another. We have absolutely no problem. It's just something that we're comfortable with. Sexuality is part of human nature, and I don't question it to the point where, oh, that's wrong or anything. It's just my own experiences with sexuality is that it's part of who we are, and it can go in any kind of direction, and all directions are the right ones. It's a personal experience. Last question is, should religion and sexuality ever find common ground? Why or why not? I can see where consummating would work in religion, but seeing as Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, the Judeo-Christian spectrum doesn't quite like that. It's never gonna work in the Judeo-Christian religions. But I could I could see it finding common ground in the sense that if you worship dual entities, goddess and gods, um, consummating their love is kind of becoming one flesh is very sacred. Even in the Bible, becoming one flesh is very incredibly sacred. Um, if you've ever read Stranger in a Strange Land, that is the best religion ever. That's the best way I could see um, religion and sexuality finding common ground, is that it's a way of understanding each other, not only emotionally, but physically, and never to the point where, never like one night stand type, more like, for lack of a better term, a religious experience, just bonding. I don't know. I think I was just born in the wrong era. Seriously. But anyway, that was the exercise for today. Again, not appropriate for minors. But just a heads up, this is what it was. These are my thoughts, my opinions, my experiences. I hope you enjoyed them. You give it a try. Tell me all about it. And you guys have a great night and brightest blessings.